Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to this session on body wisdom and coaching. My name is Katharina. I am an embodiment coach and coach for embodied transformation. And before I go into this, I actually want to spend a few minutes to get us all into our body, because I assume it has been a lot of talking and a lot of listening. And maybe you have all been sitting in front of the screen already all day. So I want to give us like 2-minute practice to just get into our bodies. And my invitation is do whatever feels good. I'm going to guide us through a short practice, but if you need to get up and stretch and kind of like move around and jump and dance, then do that. But if you want to follow me, then my invitation is that we are going to do a bit of tapping, which is very simple and very easy to get into the body. And the way you do is you take your two fingers, your index finger and your middle finger, and you just start tapping. Like you start tapping your head, your face. You can close your eyes and just say hi to your body, throat, and just walk down with your fingers. Tap your arms, hands. Exactly. And just walk down your body. Tap the belly. Don't forget your back. Getting aware here, nice, and your buttocks. Maybe you want to get up for this. I'm going to stay seated just so you can see me. And then the legs all the way down, maybe your feet. Yeah, beautiful. Just giving yourself a really nice tap, waking up all these cells that might be a little asleep from all the sitting. Great. And then walk your fingers back up. Maybe find a spot where you haven't tapped. The waist, for example, sides of your chest, maybe the back of your neck. Sweet. And then raise back up on the top of your head. Great. And then let this go and just give yourself a nice shake. Shaking it all out. Nice, great. And then take your hands, the flat hands, and simply smooth out your skin, your face, and kind of get it all out, your arms. Nice. Chest, belly. Don't forget the back again. Just have a nice little touch here. The legs, knees, lower legs, and bringing it all back to the earth. Nice. Sweet. And once that feels complete, just take a moment, sit still, close your eyes, and feel the echoes of the tapping, the touch. And notice how your body feels perhaps differently. Perhaps you notice your body for the first time today. And simply become aware of the sensations. Perhaps there's a tingling, rushing of energy, vibration, warmth. Without any interpretation, just become aware of that. And then allow for the question whether your body has any message for you in this moment. Perhaps your body is tired, maybe it's hungry, needs a bathroom, wants to lay down, wants to jump around, or any other message. Just notice if there is something coming to you that you weren't aware of a few moments ago. Beautiful. And then when you're ready, you can slowly come back to the screen. And if you notice anything, I would love to hear from you. Maybe you can type in the chat what you noticed, what kind of sensations were there, what you became aware of that you hadn't been aware of before. Was there any message that you perceived, that you received? Just type something in the chat. Love to hear what's alive for you guys. All right, and then I'm gonna jump right into my topic, body wisdom and coaching. And I have 3 points that I mainly want to bring across today. Your back needs some stretching. Yeah, I can imagine you've been sitting probably for the entire day here. Yeah. So I have 3 points that I want to share with you. 3 points where, in my experience and in my experience with my clients, the body wisdom really helps the coaching clients in their journey. So I'm curious, like, how many coaches do we have in here? Is everyone a coach, or is someone starting off or interested in the field of coaching? I'd also love to hear who's here and what your field of expertise is. So maybe as you were following this, this short exercise, maybe something came up from you, like a message came up for you. And that is like an initial kind of sign that your body has the wisdom, right? Your body has messages that it wants to send. And the beauty is, as we give the body space for that, there's a lot coming up, right? And as one of my favorite teachers, Philip Shepherd, likes to say, we think that we have a lot of knowledge, but actually most of the knowledge that we have is mental cognitive knowledge. Whereas the body has this huge source of wisdom, this huge source of knowledge that we often do not really tap into. And if we make space for that, and if we hold space for that, we can really get pointers, we can really get cues for where we're at, how we're actually feeling, what's authentically true for us, what's authentically alive for us, and also where we maybe want to head in the future. So if you're a coach, you might already think, okay, that's interesting. There is something here, because right, that's what we work with quite a lot with our clients. We work with people that are in transformation processes, that want to get from A to B, that are at a certain point in their life they're not satisfied with, and they want to get somewhere. And maybe they have quite a clear idea where they want to go, or maybe they don't have a clear idea where they want to go. And in both cases, the body can help us here tremendously. So the first aspect that I want to talk about is body wisdom and coaching with regards to guiding the path forward. So I'm going to give you a little short story of my own experience that was a huge aha moment that illustrates that a little bit. So my journey into embodiment, into this entire question of how can I connect more with my body? How can I connect more the wisdom and the information that is in my body happened through yoga, through an embodied form of yoga. And it was a form of yoga where we felt into our liver, and we felt into our kidneys, and we moved from our spine, and we did all these kind of crazy things. Which was though amazing, because I think I had never felt my body in such an amazing way and in such a deep way. And I remember this one session that I had with my dear teacher where we were focusing on the heart. And she was guiding us through a practice of really tuning into the heart and allowing the heart to speak. And all of you know that our heart has a voice, right? It has something to say. And I remember in this session, my heart all of a sudden got furious. It was so angry. It was full of rage. And I was like, what is going on here? That is the last thing that I would expect from my heart. And as I was opening more to that, I heard my heart saying, like, it was so angry at me that I was not fully listening to it. And I remember this was a huge turning point for me. It might sound not as big maybe to you, but for me it was huge because I had never listened to my heart in this way. And I never heard my heart speaking in this way. And I had never experienced my heart being furious for not being taken into account. And from that day onwards, I was like, okay, something is shifting here. I really need to listen more to my heart. And there is something there. There are messages there. There is something that I have not really paid attention to. And that was also an opening for me to realize that the body has many messages and has a lot to give if we really give it space. And that is a key aspect because we often don't really do that, right? We often don't really give the body a lot of space to express itself because we are so much in our mind and we're so much in doing, basically, in getting the next thing done, working on the next strategy, having the next to-dos, and the calendar is full and there is so much going on that we don't really give space. However, if we do that, and that's the beauty of coaching, because in coaching and in coaching sessions, we as coaches have the opportunity to give our clients the space to allow the body to speak about that. So I want to give you a few examples from clients that I worked with to illustrate that a little bit more, because there I see there was also the question of like, how exactly do you do that? That is a very good question. And I want to give you a few examples. I hope that will illustrate that. So I work a lot with people that are new entrepreneurs, that are solopreneurs, a lot of coaches, a lot of healers, facilitators that are starting off to bring their offering into the world. That's like my favorite thing to do, to support these people so they can bring their light and their gifts and their genius to be of service to other people. And I had this one client who had this vision of starting her own business. She wanted to become a coffee shop owner, and she had always had this dream of doing that, and she felt like now was the time. And she also had a history of disease. So she was struggling with quite a serious disease for a long time. So her body was literally still in recovery mode. So she came to me and she said, you know, I have this vision. I really want to do this coffee shop thing. It's really a dream of mine. But I don't know. I feel like these blockages and I don't really know how to do it. And I can't get myself together to get it started. So what we did is we got into the body, we calmed down, we did a meditation and we relaxed the body, relaxed the nervous system. And when we did that, she noticed that there was a tremendous amount of pain in her shoulders. And she was like quite surprised. She was like, I don't really know where this pain is coming from. All of a sudden, I didn't feel it a moment ago, but it somehow feels like it has been there for a long time, but I just have not paid attention to it. So through this giving space of the body, this pain kind of occurred. So we looked at this pain and we said, okay, so there is something with that pain. What is there? How can we listen to that pain? And first she had a bit of resistance because obviously like we don't really want to attend to pain. We just want to get across it. It's like, no, but there is a message in that pain. So we sat with it and all of a sudden she heard this pain in her shoulder saying, and I remember she said to me, this may sound weird, but this pain is saying to me right now, do not leave me out. It's the words she used. Do not leave me out. I was like, wow, okay, so what does that mean? And then she, there were a lot of emotions coming up and she realized like how her body was really still in this recovery mode and that it was so important that she would not push herself to start this new business. So we kind of developed a program for her where she could have enough time for herself to be in recovery mode, to relax, to rejuvenate, and at the same time, slowly start her business without this idea of having to and should and need to and pressure and all these kind of things. So that was one story. Another story is another client of mine who works a lot with the body herself. Actually, it was really interesting. she had a little bit lost track of where she wanted to go. She came to me and she said, like, I have all these ideas, but somehow I also can't really get myself together, and I don't really do anything at the end of the day, and I lost my passion for my work, but I should really get going because I need to earn money and all these kind of things, right? That's the things that we tell ourselves, or that mainly the mind tells ourselves. So again, we did the same thing. We sat down, we calmed down the nervous system, we allowed for space in the body, and we allowed the body to speak. And what came up for her was that she realized her deep, deep passion and her deep love for nature. And first of all, you might say, okay, so what? How is that related? Like, okay, nice nature, all beautiful and nice. But for her, it was so essential, that it was so important to bring this aspect of nature back into her life so that she could actually focus on her work more. So together we sat down and we felt into it, and we developed again like this path for her where she had enough time to be in nature and to rejuvenate in nature and to get her inspiration and her creativity from nature so that she could bring her work forward. And it worked. It really did work. I remember a few weeks later, she sent me these emails and she sent me newsletters, and she said like, wow, I found my creativity, and I'm having now enough time for nature, and I have enough time for my work, and I'm actually even more efficient, and I'm better at what I do. So she was really, really happy. So these are two examples that show us that we can really give space to the body to get these like messages out that we usually, with our mind that is so much focused on doing, cannot really get to as much. The second point, body wisdom and coaching, is related to healing and limiting beliefs. Now, if you work as a coach, you know that limiting beliefs is something that we all have to deal with, right? It's something that comes up in a lot of coaching sessions, and that is also what coaching is about, right? Is supporting people to get out of limiting beliefs. And these limiting beliefs, especially for new entrepreneurs, can be like, I'm not good enough, I'm not ready, maybe I should do another training, I don't feel confident and showing up with my work, and all these kind of things. And often these limiting beliefs, I mean, you all know this, are rooted in conditioning, or maybe even rooted in trauma. And I mean, I'm sure you all know this as well. Like there's a fine line between coaching and therapy that we need to be aware of. And coaching is not therapy. And therapy goes into these things much deeper. However, I feel it's super important for us as coaches to be aware of trauma, to be trauma informed. And from an embodiment perspective, it's also very interesting and very important to look at this, because trauma and conditioning is in the body. It's not just in the mind, right? There is a lot of work on this. There are many, many books out there from Gabor Mate, from Bessel van der Kolk, from Peter Levine. They talk about all these things, how the body, the psyche, how health, how all these things are connected. And obviously there's no time to go into these things, but from a coaching perspective, it can be really interesting and also important to take that into consideration, to look at limiting beliefs, not only from a mental perspective, but also from a body perspective. So the way I work with this is I work with people that have limiting beliefs. I really literally look at the body sensations. And let's look at what's the structure of the belief and like, how can we change that? Yes, that's also important. I also work with subconscious patterns. It's also very important. However, I look very much at where in your body is that limiting belief situated, and how can we let go of that limiting belief, of that limiting belief sensation, if you will, and change that into something else. And how would it look like if you didn't have that limiting belief? So for myself, for example, one limiting belief that I had for a very long time is that I am the youngest of 4 siblings. I have 3 half siblings that are quite a bit older than me. And I was always the youngest, until today. I'm still the youngest. And it was really hard for me to step out of that role. And for a long time in my life, I believed that I didn't have a voice. I believed that I had nothing to contribute, that I had nothing to say, and my siblings always had the right things to say, and so on. So it took me quite a long time to actually realize that. And then I also had to look at this in my body. I had to look at where is this limiting belief situated in my body, and how can I release it so that I can today sit here with you guys and share this thing that I'm so passionate about body wisdom and coaching, and have the deep knowing in myself that I have a voice and I have this to share with you. All right, time is running. I have a few more examples, but I want to leave some space for questions. So I'm gonna jump ahead. So yeah, so just one more thing regarding limiting beliefs. If we look at this in the body, we also look at it at the core. You know, like if you look at it from a mindset perspective, that's a really good start. However, as long as your limiting belief is still rooted in your body, it will be difficult to really let it go, because the body is so used to it, and the body will get back to that tension, to that contraction, however it is expressed in your body, it will get back to that because it has done that for decades, right? So the body is also this expression of the subconscious mind, which is another topic, but it's also the expression of the subconscious mind. So, and the subconscious mind is used to patterns, and it will always revert back to patterns. So if we have this tendency of clenching our jaw, for example, or tensing in the belly because of some sort of rooted conditioning in the past, then the body will very much likely go back to that. So it is so important to let go of these things on a bodily level. All right, and the third aspect that I want to talk about is embodying the new version of ourselves. And this is something that I am very passionate about, and I haven't seen many people talking about this in connection to the other 2 points that I mentioned before. So usually embodiment coaching is actually just about that. It's just about how can I embody this new version of myself that I actually want to be. However, I feel the other 2 points of allowing the body to speak, giving the pointers, and also letting go of limiting beliefs are so essential as foundation work. So in my own experience, I noticed once I let go of limiting beliefs, I'm going to stick to that expression, there is kind of like a space that opens, right? It's like, okay, if I let go of that, if I let go of this tension, for example, that is connected to that, who am I without that? Like, who am I without this limiting belief? Who am I without this identity of myself that was so connected to this conditioning, and that was maybe even connected to a trauma? And once we release that, it's kind of, there's all of a sudden this open space. And maybe that is enough for you to really step into who you want to be, who you really are. And that's so beautiful. However, for many of us, this is actually quite challenging, because it's like, who am I as this new version of ourselves? And there's a tremendous potential in that, because there is a tremendous potential to step into who we actually want to be. And that may very much arise and emerge very naturally. However, it's also a possibility, especially when we are on the journey of becoming an entrepreneur, of stepping more up with our gifts, of showing ourselves more in the world. Like, there are certain things that we want to embody, right? For example, we want to be more confident. We want to trust ourselves. We want to embody also that what we talk about, right? There's this another way of saying is walking the talk, like embodying that we actually bring into the world, so that we transmit also what we talk about. So as a coach, I find this a super important aspect to consider, that it's not just about letting go of, but also, who do I want to become? Who am I stepping into? And how does that show up on an embodied level? Again, it's one thing to think about this. It's one thing of creating the picture and saying, okay, I want to be a successful coach by the end of 2022. Or I want to have so many clients, or I want to show up here and there, or yeah, whatever the idea is of who I want to be and how this should look like in a practical sense. That's one thing, related also to maybe I want to be more confident and all these kind of things that often show up. And here is really the beauty and the potential of rooting that in the body again. And it's the same process. It's the same process of how does this look like as I think about it? And then more importantly, how does that feel like? How does it feel like if I am the most confident version of myself? How am I holding my body? How am I feeling in my belly? How am I looking into the world? How am I speaking? Like all these kind of things that have much more to do with the bodily sensations, less than the thinking mind and the ideas about who we want to be. Yeah, I think I'm going to stop here. Oh my God, time is running. So much more to say about this, but I also want to turn to the chat and see if there are any questions for the last minutes here. But in sum, I just want to wrap this up. Like from my experience as an embodiment coach and coach for embodied transformation, is that these three aspects really play a role when we support people in their transformation. And if we want to bring in the body wisdom, one is to really offer the body space to express itself and to give us pointers on the path and on the journey forward. Second, to let go of any limiting beliefs and any obstacles in an embodied way. And the third, to embody the new version of ourselves, and so that we feel more resilient, and we also have the transmission in the work that we do in the world. All right, so I'm quickly going to look into the chat. Oh my God, so many comments, great. Where am I from? I am German. Originally, I lived in Sweden the last several years, and I just moved to Berlin, very new here in the German capital. So yeah, how do we give space for our body truly? I hope I addressed that a little bit with the examples. How does our body tell us about our trauma? What are the most common traumas that body carries, and where exactly how to move that energy? When the body, how do you know? Yeah, so that's a very good question. I am not a professional trauma specialist. I really recommend to look at Gabor Mate's work, Peter Levine's work. But in general, the body will tell you very, very quickly as soon as you give it space. And that is usually the biggest obstacle, because there might be fear, right? There might be this like, oh, what happens as soon as I give this space? What might come up? And that's totally understandable, especially if we have a trauma history. So if that is you, if you recognize yourself here, I can only highly recommend to find a practitioner that supports you in that is there with you, and that can help you to regulate when the trauma gets overwhelming. That is a core principle, for example, in somatic experiencing, to let the trauma arise in the body, but to never overwhelm ourselves. Yeah, exactly. Beautiful. My God, 59. That's just on time. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And if you want to get in touch with me, I'm going to post some links in here. My Facebook group and my website and email. And I'd love to hear from you, whether you got, what you got out of this and where you are in your embodiment coaching journey. Thank you so much.